Hi, sir.
Thank you, everybody. NIPUN stands for National Initiative for Promoting Upskilling of Construction Workers, or NIRMAN. It's quite an apt acronym, as the Government of India has many apt acronyms very intelligently named, like UDAN, which are self-explanatory and easy to pronounce. But this is an initiative to skill and upskill over 1 lakh construction workers. Yes, skilling is the need of the hour, friends, and our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has time and again stressed the need for skilling and upskilling to keep up with the times. This will increase their livelihood opportunities, not just within India, but outside India as well. And it will also lead to safer work practices and, of course, enhance productivity. So, on behalf of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, MAHUA, as we call it in short, in association with NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, which has organized today's event, I, Lalema Aneja Dang, once again welcomes you all. And we are deeply honored to have amidst us Shri Hardeep Singh Puri ji, the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs and Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Warm welcome, sir, and thank you very much for sparing your precious time to be with us despite your busy schedule. Housing and Urban Affairs and Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. A warm welcome, sir. Swagat hai aapka. Thank you. I request Shri Arun Kumar Chandelji, the Senior Head, Central Ministries and World Skills India, NSDC. Thank you very much, sir. A warm welcome. Shri Neeraj Kumar ji, a warm welcome to you, and I request you that you present a planter to the Secretary, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Shri Rajesh Agarwal ji. Shri Neeraj Kumar ji is the Director, NULM, Mahua. Moving on, I request Shri Nitin Shamji, who's from NSDC, to present a welcome, a token of our welcome, a token of our love, affection to Shri Sunil Bhartwalji, Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Employment. Thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you so much. I request Ms. Payal Chatterjee from the NSDC. Ma'am, I request you to kindly give a token of our thanks to Shri Sanjay Kumarji, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, NULM.
Shri Hardeep Singh Puri, Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry, and Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Government of India. Shri Rajesh Agarwal, Secretary, Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Shri Manoj Joshi, Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Shri Sunil Bhartwalji, Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Employment, and Shri Sanjay Kumar ji, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. I extend my heartiest welcome to all the dignitaries and media persons present here today. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of this unique partnership between the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship to launch this national initiative for promotion of upskilling of Nirman workers, that is NIPUN. Sir, this project aims to skill and upskill 1.06 lakh Nirman workers under the aegis of NSDC and provide them certification under RPL, that is recognition of prior learning, fresh skilling and employment opportunities overseas. It is also focused on increasing awareness about safety and quality among them for sustainable and rapid development of the industry. We all know skilling is the enabler that can empower the country's talented youth by providing them with opportunities for growth. With Project NIPUN, we are aiming to empower through this skill training and livelihood linkages, either through placement support or self-employment. Construction industry plays very important and one of the major contributor of India GDP. This sector is currently the second largest employee in the country and play a very important role in providing employment opportunity to the marginalized communities. Before I conclude, sir, I would once more like to congratulate Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs on this unique project. I also thank industry partners present here, National Real Estate Development Council, prepare India's youth for the future of the work. Thanks a lot.
We all must read it. I now request.
Respected Honorable Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, Petroleum and Natural Gas, Shri Hardeep S. Puri, Secretary Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Secretary Ministry of Labour and Employment, Secretary Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, partners from NAREDCO and CREDAI and Sector Skill Councils, friends from electronic and print media, and representatives from State Urban Livelihood Missions. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. It is a matter of immense satisfaction to be part of this unique initiative, rather partnership between Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and National Skill Development Corporation on the launch of NIPUN, that is National Initiative for Promotion of Upskilling of Nirman Workers. NIPUN is an initiative under the flagship mission of MOA DAY-NULM, that is Deendayal, Antyodaya, Yojana-National Urban Livelihoods Mission. I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to Honorable Minister for taking out time from his extremely busy schedule today and having guided us all along in conception of this landmark initiative. This project aims to skill more than 1 lakh construction workers through recognition of prior learning, fresh training and international placement opportunities. It has been designed to be a win-win for all the stakeholders. As far as construction workers are concerned, it provides them on-skill training, their competency assessment as per National Skill Qualification Framework, insurance coverage, exposure to digital skills, facilitation for Employees Provident Fund and registration under Building and Other Construction Workers Act, and of course, wage enhancement opportunities. On the other hand, construction sector industry will get benefited with higher productivity and improved efficiency of workers. This also has got a component of international placement, which will be delivered through NSDC International under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development. NSDC International anchors various government and business partnerships in countries like Japan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Australia. In this component, after training under this particular initiative, they will go through additional 10-day residential module and a day-long pre-departure orientation training. And in this quest, construction industry, which is the second biggest employer in our country, has a unique role to play. As we recover from the pandemic, the growing demand for skill sets that match the growth requirements of all industries, including construction sector, that stare at us, and we have, being in government, we have to respond to it. NIPUN is this is a sincere attempt on our part to not only help bridge this gap between demand and supply of construction workers, for being part of this initiative, and thank our industry partners NAREDCO and CREDAI and sector skill councils, IPSC and IESC, for extending their wholehearted support. Thank you.
All the stakeholders, and you mentioned the young people. Well, indeed, we want to convert our young people into the asset for our nation. I remember what Sri Aurobindo said, and I quote, our call is to young India. It is the young who must be the builders of the new world. There must be men who will dedicate themselves not to the past or the present, but to the future, unquote. May I now request Shri Rajesh Agarwalji, he is the Secretary, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, to kindly come here and share his thoughts with.
पहले तो मैं आदरणीय मंत्री जी का, शहरी विकास के सचिव मनोज जोशी जो मेरे बैचमेट भी हैं, उनका, मिनिस्ट्री के सभी कोलीग्स और इंडस्ट्री के सभी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स का धन्यवाद बोलना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने एनएसडीसी के साथ मिलकर इस कार्यक्रम को शुरुआत किया और अच्छे से इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं। वैसे स्किल के बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम हमारा मंत्रालय अकेले से भी करता है। जब तक कंसर्न खाते के अधिकारी, स्टेट के अधिकारी और इंडस्ट्री के लोग, एम्प्लॉयर्स, जब तक वो शामिल नहीं होते इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में, तब तक उसका मज़ा नहीं आता, क्योंकि उतना इफेक्टिव प्रोग्राम नहीं बनेगा। आप अपने हिसाब से इफेक्टिव उसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करवाते हो। सो इट्स अ वेरी गुड इनिशिएटिव। तो निपुण कारीगर कौन होता है? जो अपना काम प्रोफेशनली करे, टाइम बाउंड करे और फिनिशिंग अच्छी हो। जो अपने कंट्री में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में बिल्डिंग्स में थोड़ी तकलीफ होती है वो यही होती है कि फिनिशिंग अपने कारीगरों की अच्छी नहीं होती। और आजकल टेक्नोलॉजी बदल रही है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाने में पावर टूल्स यूज़ हो रहे हैं, हैवी इक्विपमेंट यूज़ हो रहा है। आप 50 लाख की, 1 करोड़ की, 2 करोड़ की मशीन वर्कर के हाथ में दे रहे हो, जब तक वर्कर, उसका ड्राइवर, उसका टेक्नीशियन अच्छा नहीं होगा तो आपकी मशीन भी खराब होती है उसमें। तो इसलिए इट्स ए विन विन दैट वी वर्क टुगेदर टू क्रिएट गुड स्किल्ड वर्कर्स। और हर चीज़ बदल रही है, कारपेंट्री बदल रही है, अब रंधे का काम कम हो रहा है, मशीन वर्क ज़्यादा हो रहा है, मॉडुलर फर्नीचर आ रहा है, वो आप फिट करवाते हो उसमें, चाहे वो वुड हो, चाहे एल्यूमिनियम हो, कुछ भी हो। इलेक्ट्रीशियन का काम बदल रहा है, एलईडी तो पुरानी बात हो गई, अब होम ऑटोमेशन आ रहा है। इस तरह से प्लम्बर का काम चेंज हो रहा है आजकल, नॉट ओनली इन एयरपोर्ट्स एंड 5 स्टार बिल्डिंग्स बट घरों में लोग सेंसर वाले नल यूज़ करने लग गए हैं। तो अपने कारपेंटर्स को और प्लम्बर्स को ये सब काम भी आना चाहिए। IoT बेस्ड सिस्टम कैसे इस्तेमाल कर सकें, CCTV हर बिल्डिंग में लग रहा है, उसको लगाने वालों की कमी है कंट्री में, वो ठीक से नहीं लगा जाते। तो इसलिए निपुण वर्कर्स को पैदा करना इट्स ए विन विन फॉर एवरीवन। तो इसमें जो ऑलरेडी वर्कर 10 साल से काम कर रहा है उसी को सर्टिफिकेट देना कि ये अच्छा काम कर रहा है, या उसको थोड़ी अपस्किलिंग देना, जो मैंने बातें की, ये थोड़े नए स्किल ऐड करके वो सिखाना, या बिल्कुल ही फ्रेश स्किलिंग। इसमें तीनों चीज़ें आ जाती हैं, पे ज़्यादा भरोसा करेंगे। इससे थोड़ा सा ये आभास ये भी होता है कि अपने कंट्री में जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के प्रोजेक्ट्स हो रहे हैं उनको उतनी मान्यता क्यों नहीं दी जा रही। तो इस पर भी हम मिलकर काम करें। अपने अब तो वर्ल्ड क्लास प्रोजेक्ट्स आ रहे हैं, अपना सेंट्रल वेस्टर्न का काम इज एब्सोल्युटली वर्ल्ड क्लास, अपने जो एयरपोर्ट्स का काम हो रहा है इट्स एब्सोल्युटली वर्ल्ड क्लास। तो जो वर्कर्स ने यहाँ पे काम कर लिया, ये तो अभी शुरुआत में आप सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हो, तो यहाँ पे काम करने के बाद अपने जो टॉप क्लास बिल्डर्स हैं, एसोसिएशंस हैं, उन वर्कर्स को आप एक्सपीरियंस सर्टिफिकेट भी इस तरीके का दीजिए ताकि हम डिजी लॉकर में तो डालें।
हमारे एयरपोर्ट सब मॉडर्न बन रहे हैं, यहाँ तक कि रेलवे स्टेशन भी मॉडर्न बन रहे हैं, रेलवे स्टेशन भी अब एयरपोर्ट की तरह बन रहे हैं। ऐसे में बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम अपने ही लोगों को अपने ही यहाँ स्किल करें और उनको सर्टिफिकेट दें।
नमस्कार एंड गुड आफ्टरनून। ऑनरेबल यूनियन मिनिस्टर हाउसिंग एंड अर्बन अफेयर्स मिस्टर हरदीप सिंह पुरी जी, माय कोलीग्स मनोज एंड Rajesh, the officials of different ministries, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, let me congratulate the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs for starting this program, a very wonderful program in fact, because as all of you are aware that construction sector is one of the largest sectors in terms of workers engaged. So there is a figure also which is being quoted, around 7.5 crore workers are engaged in this sector. As Rajesh was mentioning, skilling is very, very important, because when we look at the comparative advantage of this country in terms of our manufacturing sector, we found that the wage cost is low, but the productivity is also very low. So the low productivity, in fact, neutralizes your low labor cost in India, and therefore, in terms of manufacturing competitiveness, we are on the lower scale. So I think this program is definitely going to improve the labor productivity. If you look at Ministry of Labor and if you look at the construction sector, few things I would like to touch upon. One, of course, is that the new wages code, it allows for higher minimum wages if the person is skilled at a higher level. So there are different level of skill sets, and higher the skill level, higher will be the wages. So I think Rajesh was very correct that whenever you are skilling them, of course you will be giving them certificates, but even during on-the-job training, if the certificates are issued, and that has also been brought in the labor code, that if you hire somebody, if he quits you, then you please give him or her a certificate of experience so that that person can earn commensurate wages. All the 48 crore workers in this country, 38 crore workers are in the unorganized sector, and everybody knows that construction sector workers are more vulnerable because majority of them are also the migrant workers. So this registration, we are giving a unique number, and in fact we are also linking our eShram portal with ASEAN portal of Ministry of Skill Development and also the Udyam portal of Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. What is the UN number? Because it is a unique number which is linked to Aadhaar, and therefore whenever that person say applies under National Career Service, because as Rajesh was mentioning that many of our skilled workers have ample opportunities, particularly in Europe and other countries. Earlier they were going to Gulf countries, but now there are vast avenues which are opened up. So if they have the skilling certificate available with them, they post their profile on the NCS portal, then definitely, and we are also linking it with the MEA portal of eMigrate. So that facility will also be available to these construction workers. And let me tell you, in fact, if a construction worker, because normally what happens, are not able to. And I give an example that if somebody who has worked, Indian labor, who has worked on Burj Khalifa in Dubai, and he might have done, simply the paneling work or the glass paneling work, but because that person has that specialization, so whenever a high-rise building is being made in India or elsewhere, that certificate that he has worked on a high-rise building in doing that glass paneling work, that can be a very, very handy kind of certificate for him, and that can provide for a commensurate kind of salary to that particular person.
ASEAN portals are now getting together, and we see a lot of synergy amongst different departments, which was kind of unthinkable many years ago. So this is what you call synergy, which it's also called संगत छत्व. हम सब मिलके चल रहे हैं, सरकार में भी और सरकार के बाहर भी, सबका विकास और सबका विश्वास जीत रहे हैं. Thank you very much, sir, for those wonderful, inspiring. He's the Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So I request you now to share your thoughts with all of us.
Namaskar, good afternoon, Honorable Minister, Secretary Labour, Secretary Skill Development, Shri Sanjay, members of NAREDCO and TRADAI. Even the Central Vista projects were mentioned, so nowadays we are doing, yes, Ministry is getting so much involved in different construction projects, giving us a lot of insight into the industry and the problems we find. We want pace to go up. We don't get the laborers. The labor contractor is not able to bring in. So this type of labor comes from Rajasthan, or this stone cladding work labor comes from Rajasthan, some other worker comes from somewhere else, and the turnaround is so high. I don't know how they get the laborers, and then they keep taking so much of leave. अभी बारिश आ गई है तो खेती के लिए जा रहे हैं, अभी कुछ और हो रहा है तो I don't know, प्रोजेक्ट्स में आई थिंक 2/3 वर्कर तो अनस्किल्ड ही होते हैं और स्किल्ड वर्कर तो थोड़े से ही हैं. तो शिफ्ट फ्रॉम अनस्किल्ड टू स्किल्ड पता नहीं होती भी है नहीं होती है. Some of you might be contractors and probably understand it better. Developers may slightly understand less about the industry. पर कितना अपस्किलिंग होती है, कितने साल में आदमी हेल्पर से मेसन की तरफ या स्किल्ड वर्कर की तरफ मूव करता है. Is it entirely on the job training of over a period of 5-10 years, or I don't know. I think we need to work considering the shortage जो हमारे यहाँ वर्कर्स की हो रही है, स्किल्ड वर्कर्स की, काफ़ी मिल के काम करने की ज़रूरत है. They shift from one labor contractor to another. So how do you really undertake for people who are working and are low in skill, but a real upskilling training for people who are involved in the sector? How do you reassess different requirements of different levels? And I'm sure Skill Development Ministry schemes do that, but I think we need to work more on that direction. Probably the worker works 1 month or 2 months on a project, or a few months on a project, and then moves on. So the involvement is
is the worker alone and the labor contractor. So I think we need to find an appropriate way to increase the skilling, increase the supply of labor, because the more skilled you are, the more salary you get it.
Will come and we will overcome them. All right, let's go ahead, and now, as we all know, our Honourable Minister, Shri Hardeep Singh Puri ji is with us. He's the Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs and Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. I request you, sir, to kindly launch the NIPUN program.
नई पीढ़ी के युवाओं का स्किल डेवलपमेंट एक राष्ट्रीय जरूरत है, आत्मनिर्भर भारत का बहुत बड़ा आधार है।
कंस्ट्रक्शन इंडस्ट्री 2022 तक सबसे बड़ी एम्प्लॉयर बनने की ओर अग्रसर है। वर्तमान में 7.5 करोड़ से अधिक लोग इस क्षेत्र में कार्यरत हैं। इस सेक्टर में कुशल श्रमिकों की भारी कमी है। अकेले रियल एस्टेट और कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर को अगले 10 वर्षों में 4.5 करोड़ अतिरिक्त कुशल श्रमिकों की आवश्यकता होगी। इस इंडस्ट्री को औपचारिक शिक्षा और कौशल की संस्कृति विकसित करने की जरूरत है। बिल्डिंग और कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर में हो रही तीव्र प्रगति के मद्देनजर श्रमिकों की उत्पादकता और कौशल के अनुसार वेतन में वृद्धि की आवश्यकता को ध्यान में रखते हुए इस सेक्टर में कौशल विकास की नितांत आवश्यकता है। आवासन और शहरी कार्य मंत्रालय महुआ ने कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर और इंडस्ट्री पार्टनर्स के एक नेटवर्क के माध्यम से 1 लाख से अधिक श्रमिकों को इम्प्लीमेंटेशन एजेंसी के रूप में राष्ट्रीय कौशल विकास निगम यानी NSDC से कौशल प्रदान करने के लिए प्रोजेक्ट निपुण शुरू किया है। RPL के माध्यम से ट्रेनिंग एवं सर्टिफिकेशन और अंतरराष्ट्रीय प्लेसमेंट के अवसर। इसके अतिरिक्त नए कौशल शॉर्ट टर्म ट्रेनिंग से उन उम्मीदवारों को लाभ होगा जो या तो स्कूल छोड़ने वाले हैं या बेरोजगार हैं। निपुण प्रोजेक्ट के तहत श्रमिकों को कई लाभ होंगे, जैसे ऑन साइट स्किल ट्रेनिंग, नेशनल स्किल क्वालिफिकेशन फ्रेमवर्क के अनुसार कौशल या योग्यता का आकलन, महुआ के साथ को ब्रांडेड स्किल इंडिया सर्टिफिकेशन, सर्टिफाइड वर्कर्स को कौशल बीमा, 2 लाख रुपए के कवरेज के साथ 3 वर्ष का दुर्घटना बीमा, डिजिटल कौशल, कैशलेस लेन देन, भीमैप, भारत QR कोड आदि, उद्यमशीलता और स्वरोजगार के बारे में ओरिएंटेशन, EPF, BOCW रजिस्ट्रेशन की सुविधाएं, उत्पादकता में वृद्धि। इसके अतिरिक्त श्रमिकों को व्यक्तिगत स्तर पर कई लाभ होंगे, जैसे वेतन वृद्धि के अवसर, दुर्घटना बीमा, साइट पर दुर्घटना में कमी, इंडस्ट्री की जानकारी जो उन्हें भविष्य में बेहतर अवसर तलाशने में मदद करेगा। इस कौशल प्रशिक्षण को बढ़ावा देने से उद्योग जगत भी कई तरह से लाभान्वित होगा, बल्कि देश के बाहर भी योग्यता आधारित ट्रेनिंग और सर्टिफिकेशन प्रदान कर श्रमिकों को काम करने के बेहतर अवसर प्रदान करेगा। कौशल भारत, कुशल भारत।
You can go down there, please, and present a helmet. Helmet is very important because आप कंस्ट्रक्शन की बात करते हैं तो सबसे पहले आप सेफ्टी आपके जहन में आती है। So I request you, sir, to kindly present a helmet to our construction workers. कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर्स और अपनी इनविजिबल फोर्स नहीं है। द गवर्नमेंट is making a lot of efforts to formalize their existence, to recognize their contribution in the growth of India and the Indian economy.
सर आप जी सर
fastest growing countries in the world, it's thanks to our construction workers as well, who are making a great contribution to the reality sector, to the construction sector. Thank you very much. बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत धन्यवाद। आप सब लोग यहाँ
She wanted to introduce me, so मैंने उनसे कहा कि ज़्यादातर लोग जो हैं यहाँ पे हैं, मुझे 5 साल हो गए मंत्री बने, तो वो शायद मुझे जानते हैं, इसलिए सब डिस्पेंस हो गया। मनोज जोशी जी, राजेश अग्रवाल जी, सुनील बर्तवाल जी और क्रेडाई और नरेटको के मेरे साथी, friends from industry, for those of you who have interacted with me, and that includes specifically people from the industry associations, मुझे जो मैं कहने जा रहा हूँ, I hope it's taken in the right spirit. पहले दिन से सितंबर 3, 2017 से one of the points I've been trying to emphasize is that we need to deal with the skill sets in the construction industry on a war footing. And let me start by expressing my sense of, what word should I use? Slight sense of disappointment that we have not been able to achieve what we should achieve. And what is the real problem? I will break it down into small, intelligible segments. आप किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट को शुरू करना चाहते हो, आप प्राइवेट सेक्टर से हो, जहां से भी, and you advertise for people who will come in to construct the project by division of skills, and you will find something which should be the other way around. For the totally unskilled part of the work, you will get a very large number of applicants. जो थोड़ी भी skill चाहिए हो, depending on the nature of the skill that you are advertising, you get a few. The minute you move into higher skill concentration, especially at a time when technology is determining the nature of your project, you find that people are absent. This is the norm. This we should have understood long back. But this is not the case in every case. There are people in the private sector who are constructing large projects, and they are also investing in the training of the required professional skill sets. But that has not spread to the industry horizontally across. And for that, I've been in touch with my friends from Naretko and Credai. I have been pleading with them. I said, start off. And as invariably happens, I find that when you leave it to the private sector and to work, they will work their own system out. But when it comes to doing something across the thing which will become available to everybody, pace is very slow. So I'm very, very pleased today that my colleagues in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs have decided to catch the bull by the horn, if I may be allowed to use that expression. देखिए, skills and productivity, I think Rajesh ji बता रहे थे. You know, there is an old expression, and please don't misunderstand me, I know it makes her. If you pay peanuts, you get what? I won't say it. Because then you'll say, Minister said this. But I think I've got the message across. The difficulty I find is a lot of people who say, कि अगर सस्ते में normal तरीके से काम हो सकता है, तो why do you want to invest in this thing? So I think the Prime Minister saw that right in the beginning. और मैं नया मंत्री बना था, तो उन्होंने ये निर्णय लिया कि वो एक पूरे साल को हाउसिंग सेक्टर, कंस्ट्रक्शन, टेक्नोलॉजी चैलेंज ईयर, एक साल पे वी वर्कड ऑन दिस. After which, if I remember correctly, I'm digressing from my speech, which will be available on the net. क्या किया हमने? कोई 53 technologies we shortlisted, and then that was demonstrated because the Prime Minister decided, and we implemented. And I can tell you, this is what happens when a government like this works. एक साल में 6 लाइट हाउस प्रोजेक्ट्स, हर एक में 1000 आवास be made in record time using the latest technology and sustainable green technologies, making world-class buildings. So it is doable. So my request to all of you, those who are in the private sector, those who are in industry association, you make up your mind. I have a feeling that those who don't come on board are just going to be left behind. I had the privilege yesterday of being present when the Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated the integrated, what is the exact name, transit corridor, which Pragati Bana, 6 अलग-अलग जगह से कैसे ट्रैफिक आता है उसको इंटीग्रेट करके सारा ट्रैफिक. So it was a demonstration of what an excellent project can achieve within a stipulated period of time, within all the other constraints. वो हमारे एक दिल्ली के बड़े वरिष्ठ नेता हैं, वो 1 महीना पहले उनको कहीं से पता लग गया कि ये प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हुआ, वहां से चक्कर वक्कर लगा लिया, उन्होंने अपने फोटो वोटो भी खिंचवा लिया और जनरली सेंडिंग ए प्रोजेक्शन वो पंजाब में 1 महीने के अंदर ही उन्होंने पता नहीं कितने 18 करोड़ या 20 करोड़ का अपना एडवर्टाइजमेंट कर दिया. तो कल मैं जब जा रहा था तो मैंने अपने सचिव जी से पूछा, मैंने कहा ये तो खर्चा तो हमने दिया था ना, इसका कहां से आया? अर्बन डेवलपमेंट फंड से आया, हमारे मंत्रालय से आया. 930 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट था जिसमें 80% we were supposed to pay, but we expected them to pay 20%. So I asked him a question, was that 20% forthcoming? I don't need to give you the answer because you know it. फोटो खिंचवाने के लिए तो पहुंच गए, चक्कर वक्कर लगा लिया. और I asked the distinguished members of the 4th estate who are here, how is it nobody writes about that? Is that advertisement which comes forward from these people so important that a fundamental requirement that you are supposed to do, that they have not been carrying out their obligation? Nobody writes about it. So we have world-class mohalla clinics which collapsed during the pandemic. We have the world's finest example in education, to which you bring a former Secretary General of the UN, whom I happen to know very well. And you have people going at the UN and talking about world-class health and world-class education, whereas those of us who live here know what this is all about. So I am saying, where the central government has stepped in and produced a template, which is here. Pradhan Mantri ji kal wo defense complex ka zikr kar rahe, and he was saying how somehow political narrative is sought to be created. अब सेंट्रल विस्टा एवेन्यू की आपने बात की, मैं आपको कुछ चीजें बताना चाहता हूं सेंट्रल विस्टा एवेन्यू पे. Every morning, secretary and me, his predecessor, all the other people involved, we get up in the morning, and those of us who say our prayers, I think at the back of our mind must be कि ये project कहां से, आपने तो बात की skilled labor कहां से आएगा? That's because you have not looked at the skilling part properly. पर ये भी कोटा से स्टोन आएगा, कहां से आएगा, etc. But the fact of the matter is we've got it done. In spite of heavy rains, I think in spite of all the impediments, Central Vista Avenue will be open in the next few days. And if you look at the scope of the work done, if you look at what can be achieved, now I come to the more important, Parliament building. I was expressing, one newspaper has something called an adda. Somebody asked me a question. I should have been a little more generous in answering, but I think the question itself, was it necessary to construct this building, Central Vista Avenue, Central Vista, the Parliament, is it necessary and to spend so much money during the pandemic? तो पहला सवाल तो ये उठता है कि आपको पता भी है कितना पैसा खर्च हो रहा है उसमें? उसका पता नहीं है। और पैंडेमिक का इस चीज के साथ क्या रिश्ता है? आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड इफ ड्यूरिंग द कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क व्हिच वाज अंडरटेकन ड्यूरिंग द पैंडेमिक पीरियड वी हैड नॉट मेड taken sufficient precautions to make sure that the workers are totally insulated, vaccinated, excellent living conditions. We got it done. So what would you rather have us do? Would you have us stop the project so that little earning that is possible in projects? And my question is, why do the social activists of all the construction work which was going on in Delhi only pick on Central Vista? बाकी जो काम होता है उसमें तो किसी ने नहीं कहा, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में या पब्लिक सेक्टर में. So I think we need to turn inwards and ask ourselves, whose game are we playing? हमारी कंपनीज वर्ल्ड क्लास हैं कि नहीं है? 100% वर्ल्ड क्लास है. मैं जब नया मंत्री बना तो मेरा जब निर्माण भवन में इस मंत्रालय में जो मेरा ऑफिस है, जब मैंने कहा भाई दुनिया भर में हम कहते हैं कि हम फाइनेस्ट कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं, दीवारों पे पुट द लार्ज पिक्चर्स ऑफ द आइकॉनिक प्रोजेक्ट्स वी हैव डन. एंड यू नो, I could change that exhibition every 6 months, and perhaps we should, but we'll move to the new Central Vista buildings. There is so much here that we can be proud of. Such excellent global standards are set by our people, construction here and outside. Why do we allow the average to be determined by the lowest common denominator? वो मेरे को समझ नहीं आता. So I'm very, very happy, Sanjay, that under the NULM, I have a lot of nice things to say about NULM, which will be in my remarks. National Urban Livelihood Mission, what they've done in other areas, self-help groups, they've produced an entire ecosystem. But I'm very happy that in the crucial area of construction, and the construction sector accounts for a significant proportion of our GDP, it is a significant contributor to employment. When I pick up narratives and I say, my God, somebody wants to burn something with jobs, do you have any idea how many jobs are being created? हमने एक स्टडी करवाई थी, किससे करवाई थी? वो प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना में, कि 1000 आवास अगर बनाए जाए तो कितनी सीमेंट लगता है, कितना स्टील लगता है और कितने लोगों को एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलती है. Just have a look at that. At a time when you are constructing on an average 700 to 900 square meters of urban space every year, which is one of the largest construction things going on anywhere in the world, which is equivalent to a Chicago, there is so much we can be proud of and so much we can set by as best practice. So if these numbers, I don't know, you are telling me about numbers which I am still not impressed, I want to multiply them by 10. You will skill the people, the skilled persons will get employment both here and abroad. I don't mind. That's central to our system. You provide the best of education, then he wants to go out, but he comes back. But at least the whole ecosystem is produced. So I think this is one of the finest initiatives, and I appeal to all of you, please don't look at it in terms of your silos. To be a good corporate citizen, look at what my OMCs are doing in the area of energy. Well, they don't have under recovery, but they're still making diesel and burn. I want everybody, including the private sector, to follow that. Because, you know, if the country grows, you grow. And this is a sector, I think, which is a game changer. Let me give you, I have some builder friends here, they are privy to some conversations I have. आप दिल्ली का नक्शा देखिए. 1947 में दिल्ली की जनसंख्या थी 8 लाख. जो हमारा पहला सेंसस है 1951 के आसपास का हुआ. उस समय दिल्ली की पॉपुलेशन वाज सोन एज 22 लाख. वो कहां से आए? बाकी 8 लाख और 22 लाख का जो फर्क, वो हमारे प्रीवियस जनरेशन थे, रेफ्यूजी आए थे बंटवारे के समय जब देश आजाद हुआ. आप अगला जो हमारा सेंसस होगा, कितनी होगी दिल्ली की पॉपुलेशन? 2 करोड़. Area is the same, but look what you're doing. Because I use the word liberalization, what I meant was autonomous urbanization. Because India is the world's largest democracy, it's a robust democracy, जिसका मूड आए आज उठ के यहाँ से आप Tier 2 city में जा सकते हैं, Tier 2 city से आप यहाँ आ सकते हैं. And the Prime Minister made a very, very fundamental point at the inauguration of this ITPO tunnel yesterday. He said, देखिए, आप अर्बनाइजेशन को हमेशा हम समझते थे किसी और की समस्या, और मैं समझता हूं 2014 से पहले, and I have written about this, the urban space was subjected to neglect, and I use the word in an article, criminal neglect. But the Prime Minister said, adopt it as an opportunity, and that's what we've done. सारी जो हमारी केंद्रीय योजनाएं हैं, 2004 से 14 तक के 10 साल का वो पीरियड देखिए, टोटल 1,57,000 करोड़ 10 साल का पीरियड. हमारी मोदी जी की सरकार की केंद्रीय योजनाएं कंसीव हुई हैं 2014 में, पर ये आरंभ हुई 2015 के जून में. जून 2015 से अभी तक लिखिए 8 गुना, 1,57,000 करोड़ से चढ़ के 12 लाख करोड़ स्पेंड हुआ, और दबा के कर रहे हैं. वी आर लुकिंग एट अर्बनाइजेशन एज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी, जिसमें दिल्ली में देख लीजिए, अपार्ट फ्रॉम वो जिसने मुझे प्रश्न पूछा था, मैं सॉरी आई डाइग्रेस फ्रॉम दैट, जरूरत क्या थी? अरे भाई, ये जो हमारे गवर्नेंस की बिल्डिंग्स हैं, नॉर्थ ब्लॉक, साउथ ब्लॉक, राष्ट्रपति भवन, ये रहेंगी, पुरानी पार्लियामेंट भी रहेगी, बट दीज वर कंसीव्ड इन 1916. काम इन पे शुरू हुआ 1919 में. They were never meant to be the central vista of an independent country. That independent country is reaching the 75th year of its independence. And people still get up and ask, ये क्यों बना रहे हैं? बड़े आज के लिए नहीं बना रहे भैया, अगले 250 साल के लिए बना. इतना पैसा, कितना पैसा पार्लियामेंट में बिल्डिंग में टेंडर कॉस्ट कितना था? 900 करोड़. क्या बोल रहे हैं? So people just get up. जब मैं ये सेंट्रल विस्टा एवेन्यू पे जा रहा था, एक्टिविस्ट ने कहा सारे पेड़ उखाड़ दिए, ये हो गया, जामुन परेड चले गए. तो मैं कुछ पत्रकारों को साथ ले गया, वहां गए. वो तो सवाल तो पूछना चाहते थे, वो जामुन पेड़ जो उखड़ गए थे. तो मैंने कहा आप में से सवाल क्यों नहीं पूछ रहा कोई? सवाल कैसे पूछे? वो ले थे जामुन पेड़, ट्रीज वर इन फुल व्हाट यू से ब्लूम और फ्रूटिंग. सो दिस इज, वी एंड अप क्रिएटिंग फॉल्स नैरेटिव. So I'm delighted that a sector which is doing well, every part of the sector are picking up, where for the first time when I became a minister we got a regulator. ये भी हैरानगी की बात है. पहले क्या होता था, बिल्डर लोगों से, प्लीज आई एम नॉट पॉइंटिंग अ फिंगर एट एनीवन, जनरली दिस व्हाट्स हैपेंड, पैसे कलेक्ट कर लिए और कोई बायर नेवर लुक्ड एट द फाइन प्रिंट, और पैसा जो कलेक्ट किया था उसको लैंड बैंक में लगा दिया, सबने लैंड बैंक में लगा दिया, प्राइस came down. Now we brought in a regulator. RERA ensures that all money collected for a particular project, 70% has been to be put in an escrow account and used for that. Everybody says construction बंद, बड़ा sabotage करने की कोशिश की हमारे अंदर से. जब RERA की इसमें history should be written, but the Prime Minister held firm. The reform was carried out. And today, other than some residual issues, आज मेरे को किसी ने मैसेज भेजा कि आपने पिछली जो सेंट्रल एडवाइजरी कमेटी के मीटिंग कुछ निर्णय लिया था, उसमें कि कुछ हमें 2 स्टेट्स हैं जहां पे रेरा नहीं हुआ, उसमें क्या किया? मैंने उसको जवाब नहीं दिया, मैं बिकॉज आई नो ही डिडंट नो द फुल फैक्ट. हम मीटिंग भी करते हैं, रेरा को इंप्लीमेंट भी करते हैं, और कोई अगर डिफिशिएंसीज है उनको भी. पर मैं आप सबको बधाई देना चाहता हूं कि अभी ये जो skills का काम है in a professional focused way, and it will be scaled up. Whoever wants to join us will join us, but as long as I am minister, जो आपके आंकड़े हैं, I'm confident the next time we meet I'll tell you that we've done a lot of very interesting things, like what is it called, tulip. We say we have a lot of graduates. People tell us that they don't have people working in urban local bodies, so employ these graduates, engineers who are there. So a lot of innovative work is taking place, technology is being used, and technology and the kind of political will and commitment we have to the sector will result in benefits for skilling, and this is just one program. Heartiest congratulations to all of you, and thank you very much.
ages, the country is really striving ahead, and we are thankful to you and the Honorable Prime Minister for that. We also remember how you made efforts to get Indian students from Ukraine, and we are really, really proud of you and all the efforts that you made to get our students from there.